And speaking of which, they're working tonight. Hopefully, brings back from COVID. We got the NBA Finals kicking off tonight. The Celtics versus the Golden State Warriors. Golden State are back to prove that they could do it without KD. Draymond is here to back up that quote. Said, "We won one without you. We can win it without you too." Steph is saying, "Y'all don't want to see us next year, and next year's here. And guess what? Ain't nobody want to see him." And Jason Tatum is like, "Hey, man, I made for this. I text Kobe, and then I chased the clout by telling everybody that I texted Kobe, and I wore my purple 24 on my elbow like Kobe, even though I'm a Celtic. But I'm doing this one for Kobe. It's Mamba time. Uh, I'm excited. It's the battle of the light skins, like Prince versus Michael Jackson."
You could look at it that way, I guess.
So I think about these two teams, right? And it's old blood versus new blood. I think that to to be fully confident in who wins, I think would be crazy. Because I think each team has something unique about them that makes them that makes the matchups weird. Because Boston is long, and that length will irritate the hell out of Golden State. But at the same time, Golden State, they move without the ball. They have multiple scores. And if we get into a scoring match, I'm taking Golden State all day, every day, because I mean Boston just got out of a rock fight with uh the Heat. And the Heat don't have Steph Curry on their team. The Heat don't have a Jordan Poole on their team, somebody who can really get to the cup, pull up and shoot. And Golden State's been there before. And Boston, they haven't closed out games all year, so I'm not I think Boston was the best team in the East, especially from where they turned it around from, but I'm not
They've been the
confident
best
that
team
they're
in the
the
NBA since 2022.
right, but I'm not confident that they are the best team in the NBA in the 2022 season.
I I just look at it kind of this way, and it's not that it's impossible, obviously, because people be like, "Well, Steve Kerr won his first year with the Warriors." I look at it this way: Ume Udoka. Granted, this was a group of guys that had the continuity. They brought Al back. They've had this team together. These guys have been together. Marcus Smart has been a Celtic, I think, for 7 years, maybe even 8 now.
I think it's 8.
And he's made the playoffs every year. So the Celtics are a playoff team every year, whether they're the 7 seed, the 8 seed, the 2 seed, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, 7, the 1. They are a bona fide playoff team. They've had all the ingredients. They've done what they needed to do to put this team together to find this success. Not to mention they're one of the traditional teams of the NBA. Like they're one of the most popular franchise. They have more championships than anyone. Granted,
but they've only won one in 35 years.
Bill Russell and fucking Red Auerbach, I guess. But considering they won 12 or 11 in a row, something like that, something ridiculous.
Back when the Plumbers played, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think the Lakers are a little bit more valid, coming from a Lakers fan.
But hold on, real quick though. The Lakers won in the 80s. They won in the 2000s. They won in the 2010s, and then they won in 2020. So
LeBron, yeah.
But the Lakers have been more consistently a championship franchise, whereas the Celtics are living off the glory days, kind of like the city of Boston.
They won in the 70s too, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Western got one. So
yes.
Yeah, so they won in the 70s.
I don't know what year it was, but the Lakers have been more consistent. The Lakers have been more consistent, but Boston's here, and this has to be an indictment on Brad Stevens, the coach. And I think he gets credit because he's in the front office and he brought Al back. But it has to be an indictment on Brad Stevens or Danny Ainge. One of them had to be doing something wrong.
I would say I would probably lean more towards Brad. And I say this, and it's not that Brad Stevens isn't a good coach, because I mean, at one point, some people thought he was really the best coach in the NBA.
Yeah, and they were wrong.
They were, but I mean, you want to know what it is? Some people just can't get teams over the hump. I'm not saying that Mark Jackson wouldn't have won a title with the Warriors eventually, but in reality, I think that Steve Kerr just gets a little bit more out of him. It's not that Steve Kerr is that much better of a coach, than Mark Jackson, but some people just get more out of a team. Mike Smith took the Falcons as far as he could. Dan Quinn, come on. I already saw you looking for it.
We are all here to do what Falcons do. Look at that.
Nice hat, baby. Oh, by the way, new lids for the boys. I'm happy about those red lids. But nonetheless, some guys just get a little bit more out. Dan Quinn did with the Falcons. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we knew that team was good enough. So, and I put the same thing with the Celtics. There are many teams that if you look at it, they're just, once they make a coaching change, they get more out of them. And I think that this is just an example of that. Now, that's kind of the reason why I don't like Boston. I think Boston matches up pretty well with them, honestly, because of the versatility on the defensive end. Robert Williams, second team all defense in the NBA this year. Tatum and Brown can guard anyone from 1 to 4. And they're really your 2 and your 3. Marcus Smart, defensive player of the year. They Al Horford, that veteran presence that you need, the most playoff experience, a guy for what it's worth, regardless of him this being his first NBA Finals. Very successful player. As much as we said fuck him last Memorial Day weekend 4 years ago, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago,
2018,
yelling at the MGM at the top of our lungs and getting the crowd to go with us. At the end of the day, Al's been very successful since I've known who Al Horford was. That's 2 national championships in Florida. The Hawks hadn't made the playoffs in like 10 years. His rookie year, we make it, and then we go to the playoffs every year. Every year that Al Horford, except for when he was in Oklahoma City.
That doesn't even count because he didn't play.
Yeah, he didn't. Right, and Sam Presti did him a favor, reserving some years to where he can play like this today. And so, a winner though, but he's the veteran presence on the team. Then you got guys like
Peyton Pritchard.
Oh yeah, fucking
Grant Williams.
That plays, the prototypical white Boston player, right? That comes off the bench. Grant Williams, a guy who improved his game. Had a big game 7 against Milwaukee. What did he make? 7 threes? You got guys like him. But you know what? When you look on the other side, we have the same exact thing. We have Jordan Poole, a guy who these playoffs, at least, he was solid in the regular season, sure. But these playoffs, he was at another level. He was at a give me $25 million a year type level. And if you don't do it, Sacramento will. You know what I mean? He's at one of those. He's at that level. You look at a guy like that. You look at a guy like what's his name? It's fucking moving my mind. Andrew Wiggins, the worst NBA All-Star starter of all time. He still be balling. He's still a guy that averaged 25 a game that got him all that money. Then you got the rookies in Kuminga. What's my other man's name?
Who? Moody?
It's Moody. Yeah, Moody, Kuminga. These guys, they contribute. You know what I mean? As rookies. Remember, they still rookies. They're contributing still. You have the return of Klay Thompson. You got
He's coming back.
You got Kevin Looney, holding it down to protect the rim. They're set up. And, of course, nobody can forget about Steph Curry, right? And so I just think that it's going to be too much. I think that they've been there. Like I said, you got to look at the outside shit too. Boston, this is their first time, all their first time. They're getting there. First of all, they're traveling across the country. They're on less rest. They haven't been to the final. They haven't had to deal with the media of the finals like that. Remember the Warriors, this is their 6-1. These guys already know their ticket situation with their parents, their loved ones, their friends. They already got that set up because they've done it before.
They know Guillermo.
Be like, who am I going to give tickets to? They got to deal with it.
Hey, they know Guillermo going to be in their face asking dumb questions.
That's the only thing they know, though. Matter of fact, you get that on. Because I see Jimmy Kimmel is live, apparently.
Oh, because Guillermo probably doing some stuff. LeBron James.
Right.
But
how does it feel to not have to play LeBron James in the NBA Finals? Like,
and you know what? You know what I think the biggest key to this is? Jason Tatum is a smart basketball player who will defer to his teammates when it makes sense. And his second best scoring option, Jaylen Brown, can't dribble to save his life. And I think Marcus Smart is going to look at Steph Curry like their peers.
I think he's going to respect him.
Did you hear what Marcus Smart said to JJ Redick?
What did he say?
He said if we would have beat LeBron and them in 2018, we would have beat Golden State.
Okay. All right. Well, whatever. I'm not even going to give that any thought. But at the same time, because you didn't beat LeBron. Let's start there. But secondly,
LeBron them got swept.
Come on, man. They weren't winning shit. But nonetheless, I look at him as the key player of this series, though. I think how well he plays really will dictate how fast Boston gets bounced, to be completely honest with you. Because as the defensive player of the year, now you were already a really good defensive player, and we all knew that. You got to live up to it. This is the biggest stage against what you could argue as Steph Curry being him and LeBron have ran this era of basketball. 2011 on up. They've ran this era of basketball. LeBron, of course, being 1A, but I don't think it's far-fetched to say that Steph Curry is a 1B.
Bro, Steph.
And he's transcended the game. He did transcend the game at the end of the day. All this three-point shooting and shit, man, that shit's because of what the Warriors did. And, this is the biggest stage. You got a chance to do it against him. So I think that Marcus Smart, both sides, is the most important player in the series. I really do. And then on the Warriors side, I would even go ahead and say, I know a lot of people don't think this, but I think that Andrew Wiggins is the most important player. His production is going to determine kind of how good because let's just match it up, right? Smart's going to be on Steph. Brown, whoever.
I would put Tatum on Clay.
On Clay. And then the thought is that Tatum's going to be guarding Wiggins. And then, of course, when you get that depth lineup with Poole in, Al and Draymond are going to be going at it. Well, and here's the thing. Yeah, Al and Draymond are going to be going at it, which is I can't wait to see. That's going to be great.
Yeah.
It's because Al is versatile enough to step out to guard.
Well, here's the thing.
Even when he's facilitating and setting up. And then switch. This is going to be a good series.
When you were talking about Al, I think Al is honestly their best defender. I know that
Robert Williams is good.
Marcus Smart got Defensive Player of the Year, but I think Al Horford is their best defender. Real quick on Al Horford. Nick Wright had a crazy point. He goes, he was like, if Al Horford wins this title, he's going into the Hall of Fame. And then he compared him to Reggie Miller. And the All-Star games are the same.
He's got 5.
5, yeah. Career points.
With the Hawks, right?
Yeah.
Question is, does Al Horford, if he does get it, let's say he does he retire a Hawk?
I'd hope so.
He spent a decade.
Nah, he's going to retire a Celtic because he's a Celtic guy. He
will probably retire 42.
Yeah. Did he wear 42 or 15 with us?
Wasn't enough to retire 42.
Did he wear 42 or 15 with us?
Oh, he wore 15. You're right. Damn. Just feels so long ago. He probably does go in as a Celtic, though.
He does, man.
Deion didn't do it. Deion could have went in as a Cowboy. He went in as a Falcon.
As he should have.
Well, that's
we are all here to do what Falcons do. Look at that.
That is a very interesting debate, though. Is Al Horford a Hall of Famer if he gets this title and he's a linchpin for this team?
Yes, because of what he did in college.
That too, yeah, because you're right. The Pro Basketball Hall of Fame combines it.
Yeah, they need to have.
He's low key, maybe already in.
He probably is. I mean,
he's not first ballot, but he's probably already in, honestly, because he's had a very good I'll say this. He's not, but I don't think anyone expected superstar out of him, even when he was drafted third by the Hawks. I think he's lived up to the third pick in the draft, to be totally honest. And I know that's hard to say considering guys like Michael Jordan were the third pick in the draft. But
here's the thing about basketball. Unlike any sport, basketball requires a role change when you get to the pro level. I've yet to meet a basketball player who was a role player in recreation, then was a role player in middle school, was a role player in high school, was a role player in AAU, was a role player in college, and then got drafted as a role player. No, everybody got buckets, and then eventually when you got on a team where somebody else could get buckets better than you, or the coach said, hey, they get the buckets, that's when you become a role player.
Would you even say that Al Horford was the best player on that Florida team? I know a lot. No. Joakim Noah felt like the player.
Joakim Noah and Corey Brewer.
Corey Brewer. Oh, yeah, because Corey Brewer was definitely a bucket.
Corey Brewer got a 50-piece in the league.
Man, Corey Brewer was a bucket at fucking Florida.
So let's circle back to these finals.
No, I was about to say, I was trying to think about, they played Kansas, I know. I don't remember who that other natty was against. But
years ago.